I'm looking at the times right now and seeing what times they have. Oh,
here we go.
Yeah, we're off. So yeah, during the opening cutscene, we can talk about the players a little bit. It seems like Rimato's times are a little bit better. His current ND percent is 118, I think. Yeah, 118.14, whereas Bry Guys is sitting at 122.04. So they are still relatively close. A 4-minute difference is significant, but it might not be significant enough for their skill level to have a relatively close race here.
Yeah, that's very true, because anything can happen in a race, and consistency is the one thing that truly matters for a race. In terms of watching, I've watched both of these players play, and Rimato, he hasn't been super active as of recent, so I'm not too sure about Rimato's consistency, and the same goes for Bry Guy. I believe both of them have not been super haven't been super active playing Sunshine recently. So I have actually no clue what to expect from these players in terms of how they're going to perform according to their skill.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we're going to get, like, if we're going to get really gold splits from them, or if we're going to be seeing smaller mistakes due to lack of playing recently.
Yeah, and we're kicking off with Airstrip, the most simple of simple stuff, just regular jump dives and spin jump dives, depending on what you go for, and no mistakes yet, so that's good. But
it's not impossible to make a mistake though on the very first level. The mistake isn't going to be run ending by any means, but if you try doing the long distance spray strat instead of going right up to the plant at the very beginning, then you can lose a little bit of time if you miss it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of variances here, and usually the good runners will usually want to go for a so-called 24 airstrip, a 324 airstrip. That's like a good time for airstrip for the higher level of players. Usually a 325 is fine though. So, and the timing that we go for when making these splits is when Mario grabs the shine and points it out towards the camera. That's usually when you split for a specific segment in a Sunshine run.
Yeah, in a lot of different games like Sunshine or Odyssey even, or Galaxy, there's usually like a bit of a wind up before there's a big explosion of music, dun 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 dun, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that big last final hit is when most players will set their cues.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty interesting how that's the case with a lot of games where there's like a sound cue or something along those lines where you split. Some games also use like visual cues for when to split, but Sunshine it's a little bit more into the sound cue, I would say.
You also, about this level right now, you might have noticed that for the people watching, that all the players were just continually pumping directly into the piranha's mouth, even if it was just keeping its mouth closed and moving around. That is going to be relevant a little bit later, because this is the only time in the game where you can do that, because any other times that you're fighting those monsters, they'll shrug it off and you won't be able to just continually pump spray at them. So the airstrip is relatively easy for that reason, but all the other ones require a little bit more timing.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be quite a few more piranha plants later on in the run where what MathGeek said is going to be applied, where you have to be more timing precise. But yeah, for the first one, it's just like spray, and just make sure you're actually holding your R button, and you're going to be good to go.
As you are no doubt aware,
and here comes the second batch of cutscenes, the last one that's considered pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, what is it like? It's like a 3-minute cutscene, isn't it, or like a minute and a half or something?
Yeah, this last one is 3 minutes long, so the first two ones are a little bit on the shorter end, but the last one that you do in Airstrip is definitely a decent chunk longer. It's kind of like the last cutscene as one, or like the last big cutscene before the run really starts picking up in pace and the movement starts getting flashy.
The Shine sprites have vanished from their gathering spot at the Shine Gate. The reason? It's quite obvious.
And yeah, any Sunshine runner that has done several of attempts will always be annoyed by this cutscene a little bit. But we still love the game, and the movement is amazing in this game. That's why we continue to strive for better times in whatever category we're playing, because ultimately the movement in this game is superb and just really clean and smooth, and that's what truly makes Super Mario Sunshine a good speed game.
Pretty much all the main 3D games that Nintendo's have made, like 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy and especially Odyssey, have very, very smooth movement. And yeah, I'd agree with you. Sunshine is probably the pinnacle of that. Having such beautiful, smooth movement that feels nice is so imperative to speedrunning games. It needs to be enjoyable to run. Odyssey, although it's really, really popular, there's a couple types of movement that's a little bit tricky to do, like backflips, for example, are tricky to do because you slip a little bit on the ground as Mario, whereas in Sunshine it just feels so crisp and smooth and easy to do that it's a lot more open for new people to come and try speedrunning, because all the tricks aren't really that hard to do.
Yeah, for Sunshine there's not the very basics of gameplay and movement is pretty simple to actually get into in Sunshine, which is cool because it really allows you as a new player to start feeling improvement relatively quickly. But then there are things like spin jumps, which can be actually pretty tricky to get into, even when you start running.
Yeah, like spin buffering, for example.
Yeah, spin buffers are even more difficult, like doing a momentum spin, for an example. And momentum spins are a result of spin jump buffering. So, but yeah, that's something we can get more into if we see either of the runners doing it. But yeah, even just spinning the control stick accurately and doing it in the middle of, for an example, a secret can be pretty difficult at times.
And making sure you point in the right direction after you do it, and you don't end up jumping off the map, which I have done many times, even in my runs.
Yeah, but now the run kicks off, and we're going into Delfino Plaza, and here's the first plant where timing will actually be required.
You can see both players jumping perfectly in sync with each other.
Yeah,
it seems beautiful. Like there's been an interesting amount of different strategies that this level has had to offer over time. It seems like the most accepted one is the one that they just did. Oh, there we go, Braga doing that. The little shrug like I told you before. Yeah, so one of the main strategies I've seen people do as well is spin jumping onto one of the little overhangs from the market and then jumping on top of one of the buildings to finish the level. But it seems like it only saves like a quarter of a second to maybe half a second, and it's so much more technically difficult to do that players just don't bother doing it.
Yeah, some players do go for it. I know some really high-level runners do go for that, even in races. It's not super-duper difficult, but at this level, it's usually not worth it. It really depends on how accustomed you are to Mario's movement. And yeah, like you said, it's a very minimal time save, so most of the time, it really isn't worth it.
So it seems like both players are getting the fast kill right now.
Yeah, it's the regular fast kill. There's a faster kill called the quick kill, which is more common when you get into the higher level, but this kill is not much slower. It's only by about 2 seconds, I would say, so it's not a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, like, 2 seconds doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But as long as you, like, in races, the consistency is what matters. If you can do it consistently, then that's great. But for players that aren't, you know, like top 5, you don't really need to go for that, especially in a race.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely players that are not top 5 that can get it consistently, but you're definitely right. If you're not consistent at quick kill and you're in a race setting, then it's definitely better to go for what's more consistent for you, because in general, you just want to prioritize consistency when it comes to a race.
Oh, they both got relatively good spider RNG. I think Bryguy's was a little bit better. He didn't have to get the spider to backtrack. So that's interesting.
Yeah, Rimato actually had pretty bad spider RNG there, but he backed it up properly, so he didn't lose too much time from it.
And Braga getting a first cycle windmill jump. He managed to hop up as soon as he got there. Rimato managed to just barely catch up, and now they're pretty much tied again.
Yeah, both got the first cycle, which is the most important part about doing Bianco 2. Like, obviously, it depends on what level you are at. If you don't have a sub 130, it's not the end of the world, or even then, like, it's usually not the end of the world, even if you don't get the first cycle, but it does lose a quite substantial amount of time if you do not make the first cycle, because then you have to stand around waiting for the second cycle to come around.
There's not much worse in this game than having to sit and ride the actual wheel up because you've missed like 3 or 4 times and you're just fed up with trying to actually do it.
Yeah, there's been a few times like that for sure. Pretty sure any Sunshine runner has had issues with the windmill at some points. Yeah, this fight is pretty straightforward. You just ground pound PD's stomach. And before doing that, of course, we have to spray water in his mouth. So he gets all filled up and falls over in his own dizziness.
Well, there's actually a little bit more to the run than just that as well, because you are right that that's really all that the run is. But sitting to his... give me a second, sorry. You have to stand directly to the Piranha Plant's left or right to its side. Because
yeah, that's true.
He has like another 2 or 3 attacks that he can do, but for some reason standing right to his side, he'll always turn and open his mouth immediately, which makes it the fastest possible kill.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're standing behind PD and you're not standing at a 90-degree angle, but you're still standing behind him technically, or like you're as far behind as possible, but still, or like as far to the side as possible, but not 90 degrees. So you want to be below or like over 90 degrees, essentially, to the right or left. Then he will open his mouth instantly as he turns towards you. Otherwise, he will just spin.
Yeah, and if you're too close to him and you're within like 90 degrees either direction of his front, then he'll spin around, knock you back, which is, you know, not nice because that wastes about 5 to 7 seconds depending.
Yeah, we should be able to see pretty smooth gameplay from both of these runners. Both of the runners are pretty decent at the game and have both pretty good times, so we should definitely be seeing some cool stuff from both players. Here's the first secret done. Done pretty okay by both.
A little bit of a lead here.
Yeah, I think he had a better entry,
yeah,
which is why he saved some time.
Yeah, exactly. Going in, he was a little bit ahead. Like, he was about 1.5 seconds ahead, and he's still about there now.
Yeah, very close so far. Even at this point, it's usually a bit of a difference because Bianco 2 usually separates runners by a few seconds pretty much every race. So it's cool to see that they're still very close.
So now there's 2 main tricks being done at the same time that we can explain. So again, they are just trying to kill the Piranha Plant as they did before, but he's going to come up a second time. And now you're seeing that they're no longer doing the spam spray as they did before. This is a really cool skip that somebody discovered a while ago and has been a staple of the speedrun since. That saves a good, what, like 30 seconds off the run? If you run back and go into Bianco right here, while the animation for the building coming up is happening, then you skip the entire cutscene animation, and that saves a large chunk of time.
Yeah, it saves 15 seconds, but yeah, it's still a very significant amount of time in the any % speedrun. And here's one of the most technically difficult levels in the game, Bianco 4. It really depends on what strats you do, to be fair. I'm not sure what both of these runners will be going for, but Rimato, for an example here, is doing the momentum spin off the grass slope, which is pretty good. And yeah, this level is really difficult because there's so many ropes and tricky little angles you have to nail down here. But Rimato's going for pretty good strats here. He's going for 2 momentum spins. I don't know if he'll be going for the 3rd one at the very end, but seems like...
Oh, that's interesting. They both went for slightly different strats, yet it seems like Braga actually caught up in time off that last coin. He was a good 3 or 4 seconds behind, and now he's maybe just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Because the thing is that...
Ooh, missing that
Rimato was actually messing up quite a bit on a lot of the movement. Even though he was going for way better strats, Brigai was more consistent throughout, and thus he managed to catch up.
He missed the first coin on the first jump, for example. Rimato skipped past it by accident and had to backtrack to go catch it, which lost him a good half second.
That's about 15 seconds for Or. Could be, actually. Oh yeah, you're right. It's 10. Never mind. Good job, you guys. I love you, chat. Right, and here we go. One of the first heavy RNG levels in the run. which is Bianca 5. So here, gameplay doesn't matter too much. Obviously, the entry can be a little bit hard. It's actually slept on quite a bit, I would say. The entry can actually be a little bit frustrating, especially hitting the points. You can see on Rimato, he was struggling a little bit to get the point to hit PD right away.
I think it's kind of interesting because, again, that's a strat that not everybody takes when you're trying to wake up PD Piranha. I've seen some people try to spam spray off the edge and try to wake up PD Piranha just by spraying him with like your normal nozzle without having to use that. But it seems like it's much more consistent to just do the backflip spray because you don't have to rely on the perfect RNG of the spam spray shooting directly upwards.
Wait, are you able to... I didn't even know that was a thing. Are you actually able to, like, wake him up with your water?
I'm fairly sure you're able to wake him up just with water. You don't actually have to hit him with the pink, whatever they're called. You can just hit him with any kind of water, and that does work.
Huh. That's very interesting if that's the case. I actually did not know. Yeah, both players getting a relatively similar pattern for the first spot.
Someone in Twitch chat fact check me though, make sure, yeah.
Yeah, but Brigai is having a really good pattern so far. Rimato is also looking to get a good one though, because the third spot for Rimato's PD here is guaranteed to be good. He's gonna be next to the river after this because of the way that he went.
Okay, I mean, for the last one, it doesn't actually matter how far they are. It just matters as to how quick the actual transition periods are, and this is probably one of the best transition
both players getting really good R&D here, actually. Brigai with the second best pattern, and Rimato with just a overall pretty solid pattern. But both getting very good R&D. I wasn't really keeping track of how many tornadoes each player got, but it's actually R&D if you get a tornado on the first...
Yeah, I think Brigai only got 1 tornado and all that. I think Rimato got 2.
Yeah, that was very good R&D from both players, so that's really cool to see both players getting good R&D in a run setting, in a race setting rather. So they're still really, really close. This is actually pretty hype.
Yeah, seeing that nobody is screwed up in the first, like, 15 to 20 minutes of the run is pretty nice because it means that it's not just going to be one-sided very quickly. We get to see some of the later levels that are significantly more technically difficult to perform, especially things like Gelato Skip and seeing how consistent they are at that. Hopefully they can both get a first try and see how that goes.
So there's a small little difference there between Rimato and Brigai and what they do. They did very similar movement for the most part, but at the very end, you can actually dive forwards after you finish cleaning up the Pianta if you like time it accordingly. And by doing that, you get a little bit closer during the little transition cutscene that plays once you finish awakening the plant, so to speak.
And it's one of those tricks that saves you a little bit of time, but there's no penalty for screwing it up. That's the thing. There are some tricks that if you don't perform it correctly, you actually get punished for doing it by losing time. The worst case scenario by not doing it correctly is, oh no, you're back where you would have been anyways if you didn't try it.
Well, yeah, but the thing is though, however, that you have to dive before the cutscene transition actually plays. So if you do like dive too early, you're not going to actually wake up the plant. So that's something that actually can screw you up. But in most cases, that is definitely the case. And here we're going over to Gelato 1, but we're actually gonna be grabbing the shine for Gelato 8 here by doing a skip called Gelato Skip.
So the main way that this trick works is by grabbing a coconut and doing reasonably precise movements to get on top of the building with the coconut and use the force of the coconut to clip you through the ceiling. And then when you're clipped into the ceiling, you can just hover directly into the place where the shine currently sits. Oh, Rimato missing the first one. Brigai getting it, which means Brigai is now in the lead.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But yeah, Gelato Skip is something that everyone messes up every now and then. The better you get, the less you're gonna mess it up generally, but it's still a trick that everyone can mess up pretty much any level. So it's not necessarily a big deal, and
Rimato's missed it 3 or something times now. He's, yeah, the Gelato Skip, incredibly difficult to pull off, and if you manage to hit the coconut just wrong, you can have your direction changed, like what he's done 2 or 3 times now after jumping off the the post here, he hits the coconut, and that can sometimes hit your angle off wrong. And yeah, that he seems to be getting played by that pretty badly right now. It sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter. The angle will still stay intact no matter where you place the coconut. It's just that you have to place it in a specific spot to actually be able to flip through. But the thing that Rimato was messing up is was maintaining his angle after he grabbed the ledge and grabbed the coconut. I didn't really pay attention to exactly where he dropped the angle, but there's a few things that can make you drop your angle. You gotta make sure you're holding forwards on your control stick at all times, and that you're buffering most of your inputs, because otherwise, if you're holding just a slight bit left or right, that means your angle can be messed up.
But I also meant, like, when he goes to grab the coconut after he gets the angle, if you actually land on the coconut like he was doing 2 or 3 times, then you can easily lose your angle by hitting the coconut when you... Yeah,
that's very true. That's a good point. Yeah, Big Guy is in the lead, so... And he's definitely the underdog in this race. It's pretty cool, but then again, anything can happen. There's still a lot of Runculars left. A lot of very movement-heavy levels, so...
Oh, did Brian just miss that?
I didn't really pay attention. Yeah.
Oh, he did miss it. Oh, no.
But it's gonna be fine. As long as he grabs it relatively soon, and he should still be able to get it into the water without too much of an issue.
Still loses like 8 seconds a time, so that's still... I mean, it's not significant enough right now, but seeing the person who's the underdog currently in the lead is going to be interesting, seeing Rimato try to catch up as opposed to like him sustaining a lead. It's going to be a really tight race.
Yeah. Small mistakes, even small mistakes can, you know, make the difference, but consistency is overall the most important thing, I would say, in a race. But for sure, even for a really movement-heavy player that still maintains this consistency, it's definitely going to be able to clutch out the time and get ahead in the end.
Did Rimato get the first guy in? I didn't see if he got the first one in.
Yeah, he just sprayed it in. That was the first guy.
Oh, that was the first one. Because he did spray it.
Never mind.
Tried getting in before, but...
No, you're right. Yeah, I wasn't actually paying attention. But yeah, it seems he got the good RNG though there. The third Chomp, this level is actually RNG dependent on where the Chomps go. The third Chomp, if he goes in the spot that Rimato just got, that's the best pattern you can get for the third Chomp. And the third Chomp is the only one that really matters. If you have good movement, you can still make it relatively quick. But it's important to have good R&D on that third Chomp if you want to be able to get a decent segment compared to your gold splits. But the other Chomps usually don't matter too much, but you can have the first Chomp go like all the way to the right, and if he does that, that can be pretty problematic.
And now they're both on the Il Pentissimo level, where essentially you just have to race Il Pentissimo to the flag. It's a really easy level to get to. There's a little bit of tricky movement going up the tree, but it's still relatively easy. After getting the flag, you just have to wait for him to get up there. So it's a pretty time static level.
Yeah. The only important factors on this level is getting to Piantissimo as quickly as possible, essentially. After that, you can kind of screw around, do a little bit of whatever you want. Test out some movement or just chill around, taking a breather, whatever you prefer. But yeah, and also obviously grabbing the flag before a specific time. I don't remember exactly what the limit is.
20 seconds is what people try going for?
No, I mean, like, it doesn't matter what time you touch the flag. It's just like...
Oh, no,
flag before, I think you have to touch it before 30 seconds. I
thought it was like 28, something. It was a really weird kind of specific number that it shouldn't have been that specific for. Because it says the record is 30 seconds, but Il Pentissimo gets there faster, I think.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure, actually, but, as long as you get to the flag before he gets there, you're fine, essentially. And it's not very difficult. Piantissimo does pretty slow movement. Even though he deems himself a racer, he's not quite that quick. Yeah, we saw Brigai there doing Pianta free and utilizing some damage boosting. Good job by Brigai. This level can be pretty tricky for new runners, and even when you're at a mid-level, it can be something that kills your runs every now and then.
Talking about the level that Braga just did and Rimato's now doing right now, in order to get up here like incredibly quickly, they use a thing called damage boosting, which is, I'm sure people have heard of that from previous games, different games as well, which is taking damage causes you to go into like a little flashing animation where you can't take any more damage. So they use that, take damage from an enemy that doesn't give any real knockback, and then just walk across the poison that would damage you. So they can get to the place they want to go to relatively quickly.
Yeah, and now it's another RNG level of Pianta. Pianta actually has quite a few levels that are kind of dependent on RNG. Pianta 4 is one of them, which Briga is doing right now. He got the worst pattern, which was because the Champ went all the way to the right. But it's not a massive deal.
Is Bryguy's current level RNG dependent? I thought that this level was you can manipulate the, I guess, RNG in your favor pretty easily. Like Braga managed to do it pretty much flawlessly by positioning himself to move away the Chomp away from the.
Well, the thing is, you can manipulate them to an extent, but you can't manipulate the entire path they're gonna take. So that's entirely dependent on RNG. And the manipulation is very simple and definitely does save you some time. Rimato's doing a little bit. Is holding on to the Shane for a little bit longer than Briga was doing, so that saves a little bit of time. But the starting positions are different, and the path they take after the starting position is also entirely dependent on RNG. And there's 3 different paths they can take.
I would have sworn that the path they would have taken is dependent on where you're standing. They want to try moving away from you. That's why they try positioning themselves where they do at the specific time. Because when it triggers, oh, which way am I going to go? It would be RNG unless it sees you. I thought that's what that's how that level worked.
Well, no, only after they've done their first little their first section of movement, so to speak, then that is the case. But after you grab the Shane, it's gonna take either the middle way, the left way, or the right way. And as soon as they have started doing that, then you can manipulate where they go by standing in whichever direction, or standing in a spot where you don't want them to go, essentially, and then they go the other way.
So it's the initial paths that they start taking as their RNG. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But yeah, otherwise you're right. After you actually grab the Shane, you can manipulate it.
While we were talking about that, Braga managed to get the Yoshi skip relatively quickly. Oh, and looks like Rimato got it as well, first try. Good job, guys. The Yoshi skip that they just performed, there's a little section of that level that you need a Yoshi in order to be able to pass, but to save time, you can, instead of having to get Yoshi and complete the level that unlocks Yoshi and all that, you can just clip through the mushroom where the Yoshi goop is on, and it saves you a pretty decent amount of time overall. So being able to get to this level right after you've finished the previous one means you don't have to leave the world and then come back to it and then all this other kind of crap. It's just a very nice very nice way to keep the continuity of the worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
Rimato getting a really bad cycle here.
So yeah, this level is heavily dependent on RNG as well. The RNG is essentially if the Shucksters move or stop in specific spots. There's only specific spots they can stop in. They can't stop at all times. But it's RNG how long they stay in the spots when they stop, or if they stop at all in these specific spots.
Again, that RNG is manipulatable to a small degree, but not to an extent enough that it makes a large difference.
Well, you can't really. The thing you can do is you can bounce on the last Shuckster or any Shuckster in order to make them. In order to prevent them from stopping at the next spot that they can stop at. But by doing that, you also lose time out on a potential good cycle where he wouldn't have stopped. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword at some points, which is called Rat Bounce, found by Rats Eli.
And about this level right now, one of my favorite parts about this level is when you're seeing them in races, you have a very concrete way of being able to see exactly how far apart they are. And in this case, they were, I believe I counted 37 seconds apart, which gives you a very concrete idea. It's like, oh, here's actually how much time they have to, I guess, to burn, or how much time they're able to waste without losing their place.
Yeah.
So giving Bragai a little bit of leeway in almost 40 seconds of time means that he might have a slightly, or I guess now it's a little bit less because he got a 208 versus Bragai's 202.
Yeah.
That gives Bragai a little bit more stretch time to recover in case he makes a small mistake in some of the future levels.
Yeah, pretty close race in general. Out of Pianta, they're both very close. Bragai being ahead by, what is it? Roughly like 15, 20 seconds maybe? But overall,
no,
very close.
Bragai was 37 seconds ahead before, then he lost 6 seconds, so he's pretty much exactly 30 seconds ahead right now.
30 seconds, huh? Yeah, maybe you're right. But yeah, it's still pretty close. Being this close out of Pianta can be pretty rare for races, so it's pretty cool to see that they're both within like a level of each other.
We'll see right now. Bragai just got a 30-28, actually collecting the shine. Let's see what time Rimato picks it up, so we have an idea. Ooh, Rimato getting the fastest Mario kill. Bragai was a little bit slower than that, so that might save him a bit.
You can actually kill Shadow Mario faster than that even. There's a quick kill you can do there that's even faster, but it was still good. Actually, maybe he did it. I just saw the spot he killed it. Did he do a water slide, Rimato?
I didn't actually see if he did do a water.
If he didn't do the water slide, then he wasn't doing it the fastest way, but it's still fast. And it's like you can only kill him in that specific spot or like around that area, either way. But you can approach Shadow Mario faster by doing a water slide into a triple jump, and then doing a spam spray rollout. But most runners don't go for that. It's pretty inconsistent and pretty hard. It's kind of similar to Delfino plus Shadow Mario quick kill. And here we saw. I didn't actually pay attention. I'm assuming Rimato... No, Rimato did not go for Honey Skip, right? Or did he go for it and not get it?
I mean, either way, he didn't get it. I did not see if he went to go get it because I was checking chat. I mean, he didn't die doing it, so it wasn't like he either went too far or didn't try for it. But yeah, could have been worse.
Yeah. Okay, so chat's telling us neither went for Honey Skip, so both wanted to go the safe way and just not take the potential of messing up Honey Skip, which is fine.
It saves
you also
15
lose a
seconds,
life by doing.
But yeah, the potential is really bad.
Yeah, it's 15 to 20 dependent on your movement. 15 seconds is like the average you save by doing Honey Skip, but if you're really fast, you can save up to 20. But so that's very difficult.
I want to talk about what Rimato just did and what Bragai did a little bit ago and what they're going to do again in a couple seconds, where they're exiting the level. When you exit a level, the momentum or whatever you're doing stays for a little bit longer. So if you're sliding, you'll slide a little bit farther. If you're falling, you'll fall a little bit further before it actually quits you out of the level. So that actually can make some really weird things. If you're leaving a level, it completely cuts out all of the other animations, all the other cutscenes and all that. But if you can still trigger cutscenes. So what ends up happening is they'll leave the level, which kind of buffers in the game saying, okay, return back to the plaza. And then while they're sliding, they slide into the actual zone where the cutscene is triggering, and then it skips the cutscene. As you can see Rimato just did. It cuts out an entire minute-and-a-half long cutscene about that breaking down and revealing who Baby Bowser is and that kind of stuff. And essentially just exiting the level just before the cutscene would trigger lets you skip the entire cutscene entirely.
Yeah, and it looks pretty precise, but it's actually pretty simple. You have quite a bit of leeway to do it.
You have about 3/4 of a second leeway, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you know that's going to happen based off of the explosions that are happening on Bowser's back and that kind of stuff, it's ridiculously easy to time.
Yeah, I think it's even more than that, actually. It's all dependent on your position, because the cutscene triggers when you enter a specific zone, but if you're sliding, you're going to be sliding after you exit area, so by doing that, you have quite a lot of leeway.
Oh, and here's another trick that they're showing us now, where they're diving directly into the secret level. You're supposed to grab the bombs that the that the mole is throwing and throw it back at him to blow him up. Do it 3 times or 4 times or something, and then he'll die and you can enter the level. But the actual loading zone is still in there, so you can just dive in and it'll still let you go into the level, and that's what they're doing right now. Saves a nice couple seconds of time, or a little bit more than that, depending on how fast you are at getting the bombs.
Yeah. And yeah, the secret itself is pretty basic because it's cycle based, and the cycle is pretty slow, so it doesn't matter too much what movement you do, except for the very end where you want to be like as optimal as possible on your rollouts and stuff like that. But apart from that, there's not much that is very difficult or like a difference between most runners when it comes to speed here. It's just like very minimal things usually.
Figured I'd mention as well, they're currently 9 seconds apart, so Rimato's just like slowly chipping away at the time between them. They're sitting at 9 seconds apart is a pretty significant change from the 30 to 40 seconds from before. Rimato's really good at the pinna timings, and he is definitely cashing up.
Yeah, Briga unfortunately messed up here, so he's gonna go for a very slow cycle here. But Rimato is going for the boat hop strat, and he's doing alright so far.
And just like that, the lead has changed.
Yeah, this level can be pretty rough. It's definitely one of the harder levels in the game.
It's personally my second worst level in the entire game, behind Dentist. It's just very precise movement at very specific times, and it is rather difficult to get correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong here. There's a lot of things you can clip through. The boat you can clip through the grates. There's just a lot of clippable objects in this level, and a lot of small little grates that you're going to be walking on and stuff. So there's a lot of potential for mistakes in that level.
And along with like the little movement things you need to do, like a perfect backflip or spin jump at a specific time, missing any one of those means you have to take the slow route all the way around, which can lose you, as we see right now, like a good 10-something seconds or more.
Yeah, Rimato got a pretty solid pinna free, but at least Briga, like Grinch mentioned, he at least got the coin. So his recovery wasn't too slow, but yeah, just missing a cycle can cost you a lot of time.
Yeah, instead of the 10 seconds ahead, Braga is now sitting at 11 seconds behind. So a 20-second difference, it can often make all the difference in the end.
And here we see Rimato getting a 1 cycle. Beautiful.
Oh, is he getting a 1 cycle? Yeah, he did get it. He got it. Nice job, Rimato. For this section of the level, when you flip the turtles, there's a small amount of time before a cutscene triggers, and you want to try ground pounding all of them before any of those cutscenes trigger, because it means you don't have to waste time re-guiding the turtles where you want to go and all that. It seems like Rimato got it, and Bragai just missed it.
Yeah, Bragai was actually looking good for it, but he just barely missed and accidentally bonked into the last turtle, preventing him from getting both. But both did a pretty solid one. Like, getting a 1 cycle can be pretty difficult, so I'm sure Brigai is satisfied with getting a 2 cycle.
But again, like I was saying before, for Rimato, whenever you do those kinds of just that little bit of technical difference, you really chip away at the time differences. So instead of being 10 seconds ahead, now you're 15 seconds ahead or 17 seconds ahead, and those little like 10-second differences doesn't seem like a big deal until you realize that there's been like 8 of them, and now suddenly you're a minute and a half behind or something, and that's what that's how these races end up being won or lost, by the accumulation of small little differences like that.
And Briga here is going for, Rimato, I mean, is going for free YD, which is both are actually going for free YD, so this is pretty interesting. This is the harder version of EYD, but simply because the stews move faster and they're smaller, so they're harder to hit. The difference in EYD between those two players is that Rimato is going to be able to do fruit storage, which he already pulled off cleanly, and yeah, he got a pretty good EYD. Whereas Briga, if you're looking over at his screen right now, he's going to throw the papaya instead, because he's not going to be able to do fruit storage because he's on JP. So that loses a little bit of time.
like again, the time isn't
Oh,
really
no.
significant, but oh no, uh-oh,
Rimato.
oh no, uh-oh.
Rimato actually went out of bounds there, but luckily for Rimato, he died, because sometimes you can get soft lock there, and if you do that, you have to essentially restart the entire race. So he actually has the ability to attempt it again at the very least.
Very lucky. Getting soft lock down there really sucks.
Yeah. But
It
Brigai
seems like
looks...
Braga got it, so that's good.
Yeah, I think I didn't really pay attention to how he went out of bounds there, but he was supposed to be fine. I think he must have messed up when he was walking up the platform or something.
Yeah, it looked like he missed the carousel, I think.
But yeah, Brigai got it pretty cleanly. So he's going into the secret now, and Rimato is going for his second attempt.
But the other 20-second lead that he had before is gone, but the 20-second difference between there means he has another 20 seconds to try recovering.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And Brigai actually died on the secret, so Rimato has some time to catch up here.
When you die on a secret, you do go back to the beginning of the secret, though. So it does mean that he still is ahead of Rimato, because Rimato lost like a minute off that, whereas he's only losing about 15 seconds. But again, those little things build up.
Yep.
Looks like Rimato got it this time, so...
As long as he walks off properly this time, it's gonna be fine.
There we go.
Brigai went for over the top left here. There's 3 different ways of doing this. Well, there's technically 4, but most people, only really Japanese players usually go for the 4th method, which is under instead of over. Rimato went for over the top right, which is slightly faster than over the top left. So that saves him just a little bit of time over what Brigai did.
But like minor differences, and but this one is. It's a change that, yes, only gains you like a second or two, but it has a massive risk attached to it, because if you mess up that jump, then you have a much larger consequence of easily dying.
Yeah. And no, Rimato's actually playing on the Italian version. I don't think there is a Portuguese version even.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that he's playing on Italian, yeah.
But yeah, still a pretty close race. They're both within a level of each other even now, so anything can happen. And Brigai has just now finished Peanut. He's doing save warp, it seems. So,
ooh, that's relatively. That's relatively weird tech, I'm gonna say. Not a lot of players do that right now, so it's interesting to see somebody else do it.
Yeah, most players don't go for save warping, but it looks like Brigai's got the tech for it and doing it.
What's the time difference between? The time difference between that and not doing it? Is there like an actual significant difference?
No, it's definitely not a significant difference. I'm not too sure on if it saves time or if it's the same speed. I think it saves a little bit of time, around half a second, but I'm not entirely sure. But the difference in doing this is that Rimato's going to be heading into Rico now, whereas Brigai is actually going to be finishing up Bianco instead. So they'll be having a little bit of a difference in routing, which is going to be interesting.
It'll make it a little bit trickier for us to actually determine how fast they're going and how far apart they are from each other. So we'll just kind of base off of how well they're completing the levels and get a general idea. Brage was about 20 seconds ahead when they finished the last level. So let's see.
Yeah. I'm actually not. I would assume that Brigai's gonna do Rico. Actually, I don't know. I think you do Rico last with Save Warp. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting.
You would do Rico last? Why would you do? That's interesting. Why would you do Rico last? Out of curiosity.
I think you go into Serena after this, and then Nuki, and then Rico for last. But I'm actually not sure. Like, I'm not very accustomed to Save Warp because it's pretty rare to see.
Oh no, Bry Guy! Oh no, he bonked.
Yeah, so that's definitely gonna heavily change the difference right now, and Rimato might be ahead at this point. Not by too much, but since he died at the very end there, of Bianco 6 Brigai, that is, then I do think that Rimato might be actually ahead now.
It seems like chat is saying that Braga does do Rico last, so they won't converge until Corona. So, yeah, well, I guess we won't really know as to how well they're doing, except based off of what we're watching and seeing how they're completing the levels. Seeing two converging runs, or diverging runs, is really interesting for commentary, because we get to talk about multiple levels at the same time.
Yeah,
fun times.
Definitely. Well, it adds a more interesting aspect to it for sure. It's definitely harder to compare the times, but you can always tell by just the mistakes. And like you said, it was about a 20-second difference before. The mistake that Brigai did cost him probably around 50 seconds. So I would say Rimato's probably ahead by around 20-30 now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Rimato hasn't made any like significant mistakes since then. So yeah, I think saying about 30 seconds ahead is probably a good count.
So yeah, Brigai is just about to finish up Bianco Hills, whereas Rimato is about to do blooperless for Rico 2.
Ooh, nearly missed it. So in order to do this race, the intended way to do this race is to grab a blooper and then go around the entire map. However, the game doesn't want to monitor you going around the entire map because it wants you to take shortcuts sometimes. So what it does instead is there's 3 or 4 little checkpoints that it expects you to reach. And if you reach them, then yay, they assume you finish the race. So instead of doing the bloopers and taking about 40 seconds, you can hop on top and do a run all the way around, which is about 20 to 30 seconds, depending on how you do it. And again, that saves a little bit of time, because you know the 40-second race, 30-second blooperless race, 10-second difference. Both players are gonna do that, I assume. It's a pretty cool little trick.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about Brigai, but he might do it. But the thing about the blooperless, in order for it to actually save time, is that you need to get on the timer below 21. If you don't get a 20.x or below on the timer when you do a blooperless, it doesn't actually save time over doing the blooper race, but with the good strats of doing the regular blooper race, so to speak.
So this level is meant for you, the one that Rimato's doing. You're supposed to do this huge jungle gym map race all the way around multiple times, but you can just circumvent all of that by doing a reasonably precise hover off of a crane that gets you right to the bottom of the underhang where that shrine is. So you just skip an entire what could be 3-minute level if you're doing it quote unquote correctly in 15 seconds.
But yeah, like Dutch mentioned, the blooperless saves around 3 seconds if done well. If you get for an example, a 20 on the timer, you save around a second. You get a low 20. Whereas if you get an 18, you save around 3 seconds.
Oh right, I didn't think about the blooper shortcuts. I was just thinking about a clean run without any of the strats for it. Without any of the actual shortcut strats for the blooper run. So yeah, that does save you a bit of time, but a very small amount. But again, so Braga is getting a very, very good, a very, very good clean right now. You have to try spraying the blooper into progressively smaller pieces, and then they leave little trails around the map as you go, and you just have to kill all of the little ones in the end. He managed to break it up into almost a perfect run, and then he took damage and ended up missing 1 or 2 of the medium-sized ones. So yeah, it's gonna be this is a relatively fast first level for him. So we will see how Rimato does on that, because it's a very high variance level based off of how they move, how the actual the rays move.
Yeah, the manta rays, but it's actually a lot more about execution than people might think when it comes to the manta. It's definitely R&D dependent to some extent, especially since spam sprays are R&D, how they spread out. But there's actually, if you have good spacing and you angle your spam sprays correctly, then you should be most of the time able to get a decent Manta roll in, as long as you don't backflip and stuff like that too much.
Rimato doing a really slick booper kill. He managed to get a very clean entrance onto it, and I think he's just gonna get the he got a that was a pretty much flawless level on Rimato's part.
Yeah. And apparently I hear rumors of a Phantom Manta, but it is known that the actual name for the Manta is in fact Sea Pancake. So I would like to correct you on that statement. That is very wrong.
I think I'm going to use that for the rest of my life now. He's officially called Sea Pancake. Oh,
yes.
Braga just bonking on the side.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. The sign hitbox is super big, so...
It really shouldn't be that big, but you'll see a lot of people bonk on it because it just doesn't look as big as it is.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the booze hitbox is exactly the size that you think it is, but you can still hit on them every once in a while by just not getting enough height or by them fluttering a little bit higher than you had expected. Braga getting to the level pretty cleanly. Let's see. I'm interested to see how his personal strats of completing this level. Okay, so he does just go for the wall break tactic with the spin jump. I know that there's a couple people who will try going for the quick climb with the camera adjustment, but that's really technically difficult to do. So I love seeing people do it, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it looks like Riga is not going for the momentum spin here. He's taking it safe. You can do a momentum spin at this rotating little peg.
Ooh,
but
Rimato just missed a red coin. He has to go back and go grab that now. That's gonna lose like 8 seconds.
Yeah. Overall, right now, it's definitely hard to keep track of the difference between the runners. It's really hard to say who's ahead at this point, but once we get into the later levels, it will be a little bit easier to say because you can kind of deduce like the amount of time that's... Yeah, and the time that's left until you enter Corona.
It's interesting because I think Braga is a little bit behind here. I think Rimato is edging out a lead because I've seen Rimato do some really flawless levels so far, and Braga hasn't made any massive significant errors. I think the main difference is going to be how they both do the respective level. So see if Braga gets a really good Rico as well, or if Rimato makes Manta Ray problems as well, those kinds of things.
Yeah, and but yeah, Rimato should definitely be ahead at this point. It's just hard to like say by how much, but he should be a decent amount ahead, I'm pretty sure.
So we just watched Braga do a banana clip. At the very top, the top level of the mansion or of the hotel, you are supposed to go through the vents and do a big maze in order to get there, but you can just skip that with a clip through the a window that shows you the shine by using a banana to clip through. You at a very specific angle, Mario's in a weird position. Then when you throw the banana, it shifts you just a little bit backwards, which usually isn't significant, but it's just enough to be able to clip you through that window and get you to shine without having to go through the big mess that's the maze and all that.
Yeah, you at the very peak of your height when you jump, when you do the backflip, if you hold downwards and press B, then you're going to be able to clip through. It looks pretty difficult, but it's actually pretty like lenient once you get it down, like once you practice it for a bit. Here's another clip coming out for Briga. He's going to be doing a casino skip here to get into the secret a little bit faster. As Rimato is doing Bianco 6.
Yeah, this one, for the casino skip, you're supposed to spend a lot of time spinning a puzzle and getting it the correct direction, but that takes quite a bit of time, and it's kind of difficult to do because, again, your sprays have a little bit of RNG along with them. But somebody discovered you can just ignore all of that and just not do it, and that saves a nice amount of time instead of having to actually, spray over that entire puzzle. Just spend 10 seconds not doing it.
Yeah. It's actually quite a good time save that you get out of doing casino skips, so it's a very useful strat. that everyone should do. It's not very hard either. It might look a little bit weird, but it's not very difficult to pull off once you've practiced it.
Braga, just a couple seconds ago, died at the very beginning of that secret level, but that only caused him to lose a little bit of time, not very much time, because it was, like I said, very beginning of the level, didn't have to redo a large chunk of it again, but slowly chipping away at that lead that he had before.
Yeah, it's only about 15 seconds if you die at the beginning. It really depends on where you're dying in a secret, because the death plus the respawn is around 15 seconds. So it's not a huge deal. Depends on kind of when you die. So for an example, if you miss the cycle on Serena 4, I do think that it's actually faster to just jump off instantly and kill yourself instead of waiting for the cube to get back. Rimato's PB is a 118 something. 118.
118.14 if I'm not mistaken, whereas Bryguy's is 122.04, I think.
Yeah.
So a difference of like 4 minutes is not insignificant when you're looking at the skill of these players. It also is just grinding away at the runs, but yeah, 4 minutes when you're that low of a time is pretty interesting. Seeing if either player can get a run similar to their own PB, or how consistent they are at getting scores close to their PB.
Yeah, for sure. If a runner is doing a decent job compared to his own PB, then they're always going to be satisfied. But Rimato should definitely be a decent amount ahead at this point, because Rimato has already done Rico, whereas Briguy still has to do Rico. And Rimato's only a few levels behind, so I do think that Rimato has about a level of a difference in speed right now. Could be a little bit more than that. Briguy is getting some extra cycles right here, so he's canceling them right away. If you get extra cycles, you can cancel them. There are some specific cycles for King Boo that you cannot cancel. But if you're getting...
Was it Briguy who did the save warp? Because I'm looking at these splits right now, and it seems like his PB doesn't use save warp, so we don't really have a threshold to go off of.
Yeah, Briguy is the one that did save warp. And yeah, now we see Rimato doing the seed pancake. We'll get some seed pancakes in the chat. And it's going pretty cleanly. The purple face is going alright. And this is also a level where you can really tell the difference in skill for runners, because spam spraying and doing it at the correct angles and looking around at specific spots can be very difficult at times.
But if you manage to nail it, then you can save a lot of time off of other people's records, because it's a very common time sink.
Yeah, for sure. And once you start getting into the high level of Sunshine, you're usually gonna be wanting a sub 3 Manta, whereas if you're around Briguy's level or a little bit lower, then it might be a little bit different. Then you might be satisfied with a 310 Manta, for an example. It's obviously entirely dependent on the runners. Some runners are better at specific levels and stuff like that, but
so Braga going into Sirena 6. Is Sirena that long of a world, or is Rimato just really catching up that quickly?
Well, Sirena is a pretty long world. It has some levels that are pretty lengthy. King Boo, Manta is pretty lengthy too. And those are probably the most lengthy ones. Sirena 3 is really short, for an example, and Sirena 7 too. But most of the levels are decently lengthy in Sirena.
Rimato got the bounce skip that Braga was trying to do before and bonked off of. So, yeah, it really seems like Rimato and Braga are both doing most of the same tricks, but Rimato's is just doing it really cleanly.
Yeah, he's doing it a little bit better. Briguy's still doing a pretty good job. It's easy to say that a player is doing something really clean when you see the difference in skill, right? But even Brigai actually has a pretty respectable PB in this game and is pretty good.
Oh yeah, anything like sub 125 is just really good. They're both top 50 players, I believe.
No, Brigai is either. I'm not completely sure. I'm gonna check here. Brigai should be around the top.
Oh no,
100.
he's top 100. Yeah, Brigai is 97th. So yeah.
Yeah, and Rimato is definitely top 50 though. So yeah, even though their PB's difference is only around 4 minutes, the position and leaderboard are quite vastly different. Because even 2 minutes in this game at this level can do a lot. But yeah, I mean, they are 4 minutes apart from each other, to be fair. But even like a minute or two at this level of gameplay can really mean a lot, especially once you start getting into the sub 120 level.
And especially in a race like this.
Yeah, you can really tell that. You can usually tell which player has the better PB just by watching their movement and, you know, how cleanly they execute some things. And Rimato getting a really clean Serena free here.
Oh yeah, first try. Well done, Rimato. That was very, very clean.
As Brigai is just finishing up Serena.
Yeah,
And,
we still have
also-
to see Rimato do the casino, so that'll be a significant time dump.
Yeah, and I saw Brigai there diving into the wall a few times. I'm feeling like he's laughing himself a little bit over some of the mistakes he may have done earlier. Good on you, Brigai. Gotta let out that frustration so you can get back your fire, you know? I see you, I see you.
Welcome to Mare Bay.
Yeah.
Rico is not Rico. Noki is a probably my least favorite world when it comes to actual execution of it. I am absolutely atrocious at everything Noki. I don't know why. I really just don't like the scaling of it. I'm just really poor at it. It's one of my worst.
Nuki can be pretty rough. It's very movement heavy, so it's the level where you separate the man between the boys, essentially.
Ouch.
This is a level where, well, it's kind of true. The level is very movement technically, or like very movement heavy, so it's like very hard to be able to do a clean Nuki. And we're seeing here Briga is struggling a little bit on Nuki 1, but Nuki 1 is pretty hard. He got hit by one of the goop balls and struggling to get a spin jump here to get up to the very top to finish off the little mole that is throwing all these goop balls at him.
Rimato finished his level as well, which means he's gonna be hopefully finishing up soon and seeing if he can catch up to Braga real time. That's gonna be an interesting catch up there.
Yeah, I believe Brigai got 2 extra cycles on King Boo, so it's going to be interesting to see if Rimato gets less than that. But yeah, do not be confused. Brigai is actually not ahead right now, because Brigai still has to do Rico after he's done with Nuki. But yeah, you can really see the difference in movement between Rimato and Brigai. Just some small things that once you start playing the game or have watched a lot of Sunshine, you can start seeing these differences a little bit more clearly. Like Rimato's hover slides are a little bit more on point. Same with rollouts and stuff like that. It's not necessarily a huge difference if, you know, you do make a lot of mistakes, but if both players are playing on point, then it's always going to be a big difference. Rimato getting an extra cycle there right away, so he just goes right in to cancel it.
Okay, so he got fruit first time. Let's see how many extra loops he's gonna have to do.
Yeah, and Brigai is here doing Nuki 2, another really movement-heavy level. Not quite as difficult as Nuki 1, mainly because it's not dependent on cycles, and it's all about your own movement, but even Nuki 2 can be pretty hard to get good times in, but once you start getting it down, it's not too bad. It's not as hard as Nuki 1 at the very least. But yeah, there's some cool glitches that you do in Nuki 2. Like you clip through the wall to get there instead of fighting the blooper in that level, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's just a pain. I don't like having to do that entire that entire bit there.
You have to climb up the wall essentially just to get to that blooper. So it's really nice that you can just use a spring to clip through there instead.
Yeah, and there was a there's like a zero jump or minimal jump Discord group in the speedrunning Discord where people are trying to beat Sunshine in the fewest amount of jumps possible. For some reason, getting that spring jump is like one of the hardest things to do in that entire run, because it's a little bit more precise than you'd expect when you don't have the ability to jump and reposition.
Yeah, and also because you do usually yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just climbing Nuki without a jump is pretty hard in general, so makes sense. But yeah, Rimato got pretty bad R&D here as well. I think he got 2 extra cycles, so
yeah, so sitting on par with Bry Guy.
Yeah, so either 2 or 3.
Wasn't the best possible RNG, but I mean, that's what RNG is. You can't really control it.
Yeah. Not all kinds of RNG anyway. Not King Boo, unfortunately. But yeah, the average of extra cycles is 1 extra cycle, so 2 extra cycles isn't really the end of the world.
So is it the Japanese or Italian one where you need to get 99% of the goop clean?
It's on the Japanese version that you have to get 99% clean. So Rimato is playing on PAL, which is going to make this a little bit easier and a little bit less precise, more specifically. You don't have to clean every little spot that you see, essentially, whereas on the Japanese version, you really have to make sure you get, like, everything you see. Because, yeah, on PAL, you only need to clean 95% of the goop, whereas on JP, it's 99%. And sometimes there can be, like, invisible goop, too. But yeah, Rimato got a 2:26 here, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really respectable time for this level. It's gonna give him a little bit more of a lead against Bry Guy as well.
Yeah, a 2:26 is definitely pretty good. Even, like, on the PAL version, that is definitely a good time. It would have definitely beat my best, so good stuff for Rimato. But yeah, a lot of people can find the spam spring levels to be pretty rough, especially since you do so many spam sprays in them, which can be really harsh on your hands. But I personally really enjoy the spam spring levels, like C Pancake and Serena 6. I find them both to be very fun.
It's a relatively easy to do trick, but relatively difficult to do reliably, consistently over and over and over again. Because having to click like in time on a trigger and a button at the same time is difficult on your hands. Like it's gonna be exhausting to do, and having to do it over and over and over again for like 20-something seconds is really tiring.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very exhausting, and really you have to be careful with grinding that. It can definitely hurt your hands, but Bry Guy there did unfortunately not get the cutscene skip. I'm actually not sure if he even went for it. Oh, he even got eaten. You're right, Grinch. Ooh, that stinks. That's definitely not what Bry Guy needed right now, but Bry Guy is still going strong, trying his best, trying his heart out.
It's definitely possible that Bry Guy still can catch up here. Rimato can make one of many little mistakes that, I mean, any runner can make, and that can just cost a run. So if he falls from too high in Noki, that's something that can just completely slaughter a run. So yeah, we'll see how good his movement is, because that's pretty much the big decider as to who's going to win this race now, whether Rimato can do a really clean Noki or not.
Yeah, and here we see Rimato finishing up Nuki 1. He got a pretty clean one. He doesn't go for super hard strats here, but he definitely did his movement well enough. So it was still a decent one. I'm not completely sure, but I think he got the second cycle, which is good. Because the first cycle is only really possible of getting by doing a very hard strat, which is a spin jump wall kick, which technically he did do a spin jump wall kick, but it's just that he does a different version of it that's slower. But there's a specific spin jump wall kick that is super angle precise that you can do that saves a little bit of time over that, allowing you to go for the first cycle, but that is very, very difficult, so most runners don't go for that.
Braga just kind of screwing around a little bit, waiting for the Il Pantissimo level to be done. Can't do very much else, so you may as well have a little bit of fun doing it. 360s.
360 Chrism.
Rimato's movement is really crisp and very smooth.
That was very good. So far, he's been
like
this is very
those
good.
little things. Those just look really nice. Holy cow!
Yeah, that was a very, very clean Nuki too. Very impressive. Super clean.
It's not every day that you
some
get to see something
really good-
so smooth and well performed like that.
Yeah, he got some really like fast. He got some really fast rollouts, some really fast hover double jumps and stuff. Just his movement in general during that whole Nuki 2 was very, very good. Like even for a high level runner like Rimato, that was very impressive.
So, how long is Rico actually take to perform? Like how many minutes do you think that it takes to do Rico? Because right now, Bryguy is on, or Bryguy, saying Bryguy, but he's currently at Noki 6, whereas Romano's at 3. So, getting an idea as to how fast he needs to try completing Noki or completing Rico in order to be able to catch up would be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, well, Rico is one of the shortest worlds, but I'm not completely sure on how long Rico is. I think it's usually around, I think it's a little bit less than 10 minutes if you're really good. I'm not completely sure on that, so don't quote me, but it's something along those lines. I just know it's one of the shortest ones.
Hey guys, he said that it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, you better quote me on that, boys.
But looking at different
less than
splits,
10 minutes.
Looking at their splits right now, it seems like Bryguy is like, if he had completed Rico, he'd be about 4 or 5 minutes ahead. So he has to do. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh god! Yeah.
On the last jump, no, Bryguy.
Yeah, that stings, but it happens. This level is a run killer. It's not called Shoki 6 for a reason, or Shoki Bay. There's a lot of run killers in Nuki in general, and this is definitely one of the levels that really separate the boys between the men. It's a very hard level, but even like anyone can definitely die on this level. This level is super scary, no matter what strats you
There have
do.
been plenty world record pace levels that have just been choked up by that one last jump, and it's oh god.
I've seen Samu do that a few times actually, on his past world record attempts. It was
yeah. Watching people like Samu bonk on that last jump is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. Oh.
Oh no, no.
Where's the wet from the chaff? Yeah, it got me. Wheat. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Please do quote me on that, chat. Yeah, Rimato's doing Nuki 4 here. See if he gets a clean eel. Looking good so far. I think he went for 5 teeth. I'm not completely sure, but let's see if he gets the cutscene skip here. Ah, just barely missed it. Oh, yeah, sneaky. Rimato went for the air damage cutscene skip there to clutch it out. That's impressive. Well done,
Yeah,
Rimato.
it's a trick that it's just really difficult to perform. You have to get a really good timing on the air bubble. But yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah, he didn't get the damage cutscene skip, but he recovered really well by timing it so that as soon as Mario starts flashing red, you know you're gonna take damage. So once that started happening, he finished off clinging the tooth and still getting the cutscene skip by doing that. But yeah, Briga has to be careful. I think he's pretty low on lives here, so he should opt to go safe here.
Yeah, he does. He goes for the triple jump here. I think he's actually relatively safe on lives. I think he's at 1 life right now because he picked up a bunch of 1-up. Like, you would have picked up a bunch of 1-ups when you're completing, when you're completing the Yoshi, not Yoshi level. The oh, come on, what level was that?
You're talking about Yoshi skip, Pianta 5?
No, not Pianta 5. Oh my gosh, I can't remember which secret level it was. The one with the flipping squares.
Squares. Bianco 6, you mean?
Yeah, is that Bianco 6? I'm mixing them up in my head. I'm apparently a little bit tired right now.
No worries.
But yeah, so there's like 2 1-ups you're able to pick up there, and almost every time when you go past the one of the blocks, you'll always pick up a 1-up there. So no matter how much you die, you're always going to be 1 life ahead.
Rimato showing off some wall humping. Impressive. But yeah, there's 2 lives you can get relatively easily in Bianco 6 without costing you any time necessarily. One of them on the spinning star and one of them on the cube that goes upwards.
Oh, is he save warping again?
Yes.
Going for a save warp. There we go. Seeing if we can catch up on time there. Rimato's really close to finish anyway, so it'll be touchy to see how fast Brage can complete Rico, and if Rimato makes any game-ending errors.
Yeah, there are 2 levels left for Rimato that could cost him a lot of time. One of them being Nuki 6, which he is entering right now. So it's not completely over by any means. It's just that there is a very big difference right now. Rimato is quite far ahead, so it's going to be hard. But all is not over yet. But if Rimato goes safe, then it's definitely going to be difficult for Big Guy to catch up.
Both cutscenes triggering at the exact same time.
Yeah, and let's see what Rimato goes for here. Rimato is very likely going to go for Blue Cycle, which is a pretty hard strat here.
I think he's going to go for high speed to see if he can...
Maybe not anymore. I'm not sure if he can make it anymore. We'll see. Yeah, he had to wait out on it. He dropped a few inputs there, so had to go safe.
It's better safe than sorry. You might as well lose a couple seconds to make sure you don't throw away like 50.
Yeah, and Rimato is so far ahead right now that he doesn't have to be too worried about the strats he's using. He's probably preferring here to go a little bit safe rather than being sorry.
To be fair, I'm not sure if they actually know about how far they are from each other.
Yeah, that's entirely dependent on if they if they have the stream open.
Yeah, listening to us say exactly where they are.
Well, they're probably not listening either way, I don't think. But they might have the stream open in the background just to see what kind of pace the other person is on. It's pretty common for a racer to do that. Some people prefer not to do it, but it's like a 50-50. But yeah, Rimato's just about to finish up Nuki Bay as he's going into the last Shadow Mario. Which also means he's...
quick kill.
Yeah, solid, which means he'll be heading into Corona now.
He's gonna have a pretty decent time here. It's not gonna be his PB, but it'll be pretty nice.
Yeah, Rimato should be able to get a 121 with this, which is not bad. I think it should be able to be 121 anyway.
It would be a high 121 if that. It's like Corona takes almost
a little bit less than
4 minutes to do.
No, a little bit less than 3 minutes. At Rimato's level, he can definitely do it under 3 minutes. But yeah, so it should be around a 121. Pretty sure. Could actually be a high 120 now that I think about it then. If I didn't completely miscalculate. I'm not super good at math as you can see, but yeah. Corona is usually a little bit less than 3 minutes at Rimato's level.
So then he might even be able to scrape 120 though if he goes fast and gets lucky.
Yeah, it's kind of looking like it.
Oh no! Oh, okay. Well, maybe not
anymore.
But I thought, for some reason, I thought that Corona was like 3.5 minutes to do. Maybe that's just because I'm bad at Corona, but for some reason I thought that Corona was a reasonably long full level. But no, that thing about it, yeah, like 2.5 to 3 minutes is probably about how long it would actually take.
Yeah, I mean, it's still reasonably long, you know, but it's just not quite that long. It's a little bit less than 3 minutes on Rimato's level for sure. It's definitely a level where, you know, the better a runner you are, the faster it's gonna be. But at Rimato's level, he can definitely, like, if he doesn't make any significant mistakes, he can definitely pull a sub 3. But yeah, now it's gonna be a 121 in all likeliness. But yeah, it would have actually been a 120, which is a very good time to get in a race. But even a 121 is respectable. I don't think Rimato's going to be too unsatisfied if he gets a 121. Just doing some rocket buffers to... Oh, he's messing him up a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, he's so stupidly in the lead right now that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but he is definitely struggling though. Let's see if he can get it. Oh, he's doing some half rocket buffers here. He's doing one rocket buffer and then
he'll get there eventually.
Opting to do. Yeah, here we go.
He'll take the 122.
Yeah. So yeah, as long as he does a decent Corona here, a decent Bowser fight rather, then he's gonna get a 121. It's gonna be a pretty high one though. Yeah,
there's no way to skip that cutscene, right?
Yeah, not that we know of anyway.
Like it's one of those things that's theoretically possible, but probably isn't actually. To think about saying, yeah, I mean it's possible if you manage to somehow get your rockets to explode after exiting the level or something like that. But...
yeah, I mean it's been theorized on ways to do it, but nobody's been able to figure out a way to do it. Some people have tried doing like a rocket buffer into the Bowser fight and then exiting area, but it doesn't seem to work. Oop, he got RNG goop there. There is actually a little bit of RNG in this level, but yeah, Rimato's just about to finish up. And
he'll probably get the 120.
Here we go. He got a 121.50. Not bad, not bad. That's a pretty respectable time to pull in a race for Rimato.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid race. Braggett's probably going to be sitting at like 126 or 22, probably 127. Maybe a little bit less than that, depending on his routing and paths. Because I'm looking at his other times in his PB. I don't know if that's his consistent time or if that's just the time he happened to have on his PB. But
let's see, what level is he? He's doing Rico 5 right now, right? Yeah. So he has Rico 5, Rico 6, Rico 7, and Corona left to do. So he has around 6 minutes left, I would assume. Something along those lines. Possibly a little bit more, actually.
His Rico levels are relatively okay. Like, you're looking at, like, 3 minutes to finish the rest of Rico right now. His current PB for Corona Mountain is almost 4 minutes. So
I'm pretty sure that was a mistake, though. I think Briga should be able to pull at least close to a free flat. But yeah, so
I could see that being done in like probably by a minute 20. What is that? A minute 27? You think? Think he can get a minute 127?
No, I think it should be around 7 minutes left. Well, now it's like 5 maybe. I think he's gonna get around a 128 or a 129 with this, if I've calculated properly. But yeah, he has Rico 6, Rico 7 left, and then he has Corona. So right now there's about 5 minutes left of gameplay. Perhaps a little bit more than that.
Rico 6 and Rico 7. Doesn't Rico 6 only take like not even a minute and a half? Rico 7's like a minute.
Yeah,
maybe.
And then there's Corona, so it adds up to like 5.5 minutes.
I think he could, I mean, with 2.5 minutes, yeah, probably about 5 minutes. So we'll see how fast he does it.
But yeah, it all depends on how well he's doing. But let's hope Brigai manages to get the sub 130. Even
So,
that,
Rimato taking
not...
a victory lap.
Yeah, but it's probably not the time Brigai aimed for. But even a sub 130 is still respectable. So hopefully he's gonna be able to get that. If he plays well at the very end, then I'm sure he can at least pull something out of this race, you know? And I'm sure he had fun either way.
Maybe you got like a gold split somewhere. Just yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
doing races are mostly for fun, but...
It was also ahead of Rimato in the beginning too, which is very impressive considering their skill difference, so... I'm sure
it was just a sequence of small little advantages that Rimato accumulated over time that ended up giving him a lead over Brigai.
Yeah, and then those Nuka 6 mistakes were unfortunate, but it happens to everyone. Nuka 6 can be really scary.
It's a brutal level.
Yeah. Rimato doing a Pianta 6 for the fans.
Seeing what his what kind of tempo he can get here.
Yeah, this level is actually well, okay. So Brigai actually, yeah, that was Shadow Mario, right? Yeah. So he's finishing up Rico now. So this should be around a either high 128 or a low 129, depending on how fast he goes. I think I don't actually know where Mario spawns here. Let me see. It should definitely be a 128 if he spawns in the same area. I'm not sure what happens when you do it out of Rico, actually, so I'm kind of interested to see
Yeah,
this.
I've never seen that either, so...
I think he spawned in the same location, so it should be the same. So it should definitely be a 128. Yeah, okay, so he spawns in the same location, so... If Brigai doesn't make any poor mistakes here, he should definitely be getting a 128. Which isn't too bad, it's 4 minutes off his... well... It's 6 minutes off his PB, but at that level, it's like the better you get, the less minutes you want to be behind your PB, essentially, in a race. Because you can't really expect yourself to get too close to your PB in a race, unless you're super duper consistent, but most runners aren't, you know. In a race setting like this, especially when your match is getting commentated and, you know, a lot of people are watching you and stuff, there's a little bit of extra nerve going on. Yeah, pressure, exactly.
Just don't want to make any big mistakes, and it feels bad to make mistakes when people are watching. So, gotta make a little recovery there. Might be enough to throw away a 128.
I think he'll still be able to get it if he finishes off with a decent speedboat.
Out of curiosity, I actually don't know the answer to this. I'm kind of curious. Is it faster to take the boat or to try doing the hover trick on the steeples, as he's about to do now?
It's faster to take the... Well, do you mean like if speedboat is faster than doing what he's doing right now?
Is it faster to take the boat all the way across, or is it faster to try taking this, like, doing the slide off the steeples?
Oh, no, the boat is always faster. If you do speedboat, it's the fastest way you can possibly get across.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't actually sure if there was if it was faster in, like, even in TAS, like, to a ridiculous degree. Is it always faster to try a boat, or if you're really good at it, is it possible that it might be a faster strat?
No, it's the fastest as far as I'm aware. In the TAS setting, I'm not completely sure. It's kind of hard to say, but I think even TAS does speedboat. Speedboat is just very quick, simply because it utilizes, you know, the nozzle. Usually when movement utilizes the nozzle, it's usually always the fastest. It's kind of the same with, like, hover slides. Hover slides is the fastest way of moving. Like, it's faster than even the turbo nozzle.
Oh, is hover slide faster than turbo nozzle? Even at the beginning of the arc? I thought that was only after, like, sliding for a short bit.
Well, only if you get a good hover slide. Like, if you get a good hover slide, you're gonna get max speed instantly, so... But yeah, speedboat is super duper quick, so... Yeah, here we go. Brigai's just about to finish off. Let's see here.
Yeah,
he's unfortunately not gonna get a...
I know.
Yeah, he's unfortunately not gonna be able to get a 128, but he can still get the sub 130. So, come on, chat, show him some love and, you know, show him that we're here watching, and We hope you get to sub 130. You can get it. We believe. I believe. Let's go, Brie guy.
Dutch making a good point in the chat, saying that turbo nozzle has to charge. So yeah, it's basically never to use turbo except on water. Yeah, but makes sense.
You guys doing good on the Bowser fight so far? See if you can finish off strong.
Don't see any problems. It's pretty good.
Taking his time a little bit on that last one just to be safe.
Yeah, since it's not going to be breaking any of his records, he says may as well go for a safe sub 130.
Yeah, and there we go.
And that's time 129.46.
Race was really close all the way up until like the middle of mid game essentially. So it was still a pretty good race.
Split off, kind of.
Yeah, it was actually, it's kind of funny, like as soon as Brie guy was doing like save warp, they both started, or like the difference started to change in like how many mistakes both the runners were doing too, which is pretty interesting. But obviously that's just like a coincidence, but it's pretty interesting that it turned out that way. But yeah, I think they can both be pretty satisfied. Like a 121 is not a bad finished run for Rimato, and Briga was able to compete with Rimato all the way up until the ending of mid-game, so I think Briga can also be pretty satisfied with the race. He was able to compete with a runner that has a PB 4 minutes better than him, up to such a lengthy...
And an 8-minute difference isn't really all that big in the grand scheme of things. It isn't like he got a game over and had to reset the run early or something like that. He died a couple times in unfortunate situations and wasn't able to recover that time because Rimato is just such a good runner.
Yeah, Rimato is a high-level runner in this game, so it's always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking as well to go up against somebody like Rimato who's been speedrunning the game for several years. And, you know, has a 118, a low 118 even at that, so it's definitely understandable.
You can hear the audience cheer for him right now in the in his gameplay. They're all saying, "Congratulations, Braga, you got a sub 130," you know, all that.
Yeah, let's see if we can do some interviews here. Let's see if either Rimato or Brigai, or both of them want to, you know, do an interview. But yeah, good job to both runners.
Congratulations to Rimato, who ended up edging out at a 121.50, a very respectable score, still higher than many people's PBs. So, actually, that's higher than Braga's PB, isn't it?
Yeah, Rimato's time he got is better than Brigai's PB, so it would have been hard to beat that no matter what.
Yeah, of like a 15-second difference, 14-second difference.
Yeah, that's something along that.
Rimato is just such a good, consistent runner. It's very, very well done.
All right, I think we're going to be doing an interview with Brigai here. Hello, Brigai.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. The run could have been better, but
you got a sub 130, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It was like I was on PB pace out of Pianta. It was like a really, really good early game for me, and then I just sort of fell apart later. But
yeah, I don't know if you were like keeping track of the pace in comparison to Rimato, but I was seeing that you were like you were actually ahead of Rimato all the way throughout early game, and well, not all the way, but you were ahead of him at specific points. It was really close all the way throughout early game, and then through mid game you were actually like starting to itch ahead a little bit because Rimato was doing some mistakes. But then at the like ending of mid game is where like the difference started showing more.
Right.
You guys had a difference at one point of you being ahead by like 40 seconds, and so yeah, very well done, good early game.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, being able to compete with Rimato that early is impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been having some issues with spin jumps. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I think those kicked in at the wrong time, especially at the end of Noki and end of Bianco 6.
Yeah,
a couple other points, but
yeah, I saw you were, for an example, on Nuki 1 when you were trying to get up on the top. You did a lot of side flips instead of spin jumps, and so you had to like keep resetting or like resetting your position. And
in 3, same thing.
Yeah,
yeah. So I've got a new controller on the way. Maybe that'll fix it. But I'll be back again in 2 weeks. So
Yeah, sounds good, dude.
Showing that.
Yeah,
So,
good job.
one quick thing about your
Yeah.
run. What do you think is one thing that you want to try focusing on to improve about your run? Like, watching through your run, you were really solid most of the way through. Do you think that some of the mistakes you made were just things that were just one-off mistakes, or do you think it's things you want to try grinding out to improve for a future run?
Yeah, I think most of these were just one-off mistakes. But I do feel like I'm sort of plateauing in my improvement, and if I really want to push my time down further, I've got to learn some new strats and like really try to push some of the levels further. And so I've identified a few that I can work on. I know Pinna 3 is a pretty big one, and like my Bianco 6 strat could be a bit better, but that's just to name a few.
So then, a question that I've been thinking about most of the race: why save warping?
Yeah. So that's like a big thing for me for races, I guess. I just want to take things as safe as possible. So you notice I didn't go for honey skip, even though I'm like fairly confident in it. It's just if you mess it up, you lose a good bit of time. And save warp is really nice in that it refreshes your lives up to 3 after Pinna, and then also again after Noki. And so you saw there, it saved me a little bit. I was running out of lives at the end of Noki, and just having those extra ones can definitely be good for, I don't know, keeping myself in check and making sure I don't game over anywhere.
Yeah, and it's faster as well if you do it well, so it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, I don't know that I save
having
optimally.
Rico at the end.
Yeah, it is nice to have Rico at the end as well. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's not bad at all. It's just like something that a lot of people don't do, simply because like not doing it is like kind of become the standard, I guess. But it's not a bad thing to do. Like if you feel confident and like comfortable with, you know, putting in your memory card and putting it out during the middle of your run, then it's not bad at all.
Right. Yeah, and you do the same thing in hoverless. Like the save warp is definitely optimal there, so I was sort of used to it. It's pretty easy to just.
Yeah, and if you're doing like 120 shines, you also do it at some points. For an example, like during Corona Blues.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, good stuff, dude. I hope you'll be continuing with the sunshine grind and, you know,
yeah, definitely
trying to improve your time. And I hope you enjoy the race.
Yeah, the tournament's not over yet. I've got one more shot, so in 2 weeks I'll be back. And thank you both so much for commentating.
Absolutely, dude.
Thank you for racing, bud.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, dude. Definitely a really good race, and it was very fun to watch. And I think both of you did a good job, even though, you know, you had the mistakes at the end and stuff. You were playing really well all throughout early game, which is really impressive. Early game can be pretty hard, especially in a run setting, because, you know, mistakes can cost you a lot of time in early game, especially in like Bianco Hills, right? And yeah, really cool stuff. I think the viewers were entertained by you as well. It was really close in the beginning, so, you know. Good stuff.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Have a good one, man. Take care. So yeah, that's the runs for today, guys. Hope that you guys enjoyed watching us as much as we enjoyed commentating.
It was a pleasure to commentate with you, Matt.
Pleasure to commentate with you as well, Whale.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and there will be more races coming up soon. The tournament has just started, so there's a lot of more races to go, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that too. Yeah, we're still in round 1, aren't we? Like the first actual bout of races, so we still have plenty more races to go through. Yeah. We're still in the group stage of the tournament where, you know, there's 4 people in each group, 20 seeds apart from each player, and the top 2 out of the group will progress into the main bracket. There's another race in 15 minutes, so if you guys are itching for some more sunshine action, then you should be checking out that, and it's going to be on the same channel. So yeah, you should definitely check that out if you're looking for some more hot, juicy sunshine gameplay. Aw, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one, guys. Take care.